diversion of resources.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so then how do we employ technology to fight sleaze or corruption in Africa?
Every other morning, every other day, men and women in our country are coming up with technological products that are meant to really bring education to its level. Today, we can proudly say that we have the Ask Uni platform where you can, through a touch of a button, get education opportunities abroad. 10 years ago, you had to have some rich uncle in Turkey for you to get, education opportunities in Turkey. But today, O'Brien, you can go into a portal, upload your KCSE certificate, upload your application form, and a university in Turkey will notice you and respond to you. Mm-hmm. This particular platform has been built by men and women who are very intentional in taking tech in education a notch higher. Mm-hmm. So we are trying our best, and we hope to achieve certain milestones. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you're talking about Ask Uni, trying to connect African students with scholarship opportunities.
Yes.
In the rest of the world.
Yes.
And so how does this plug in your quest to help deepen innovation in Africa?
We must agree to the fact that levels of education abroad in certain countries are way higher than institutions back at home. That's why we are helping students, especially from Kenya and other select countries in Africa, to go and tap into these educational institutions, especially in countries like Turkey, Cyprus, where we have collaborated with them, mm-hmm. so that upon getting this particular knowledge, they can come back home and, innovate after studying in those top league universities. That is our desire, mm-hmm. as CUNY.
Why Turkey and Cyprus?
Every journey has a beginning. When we were making this innovation, we sent collaboration requests to universities around the world. So far, Turkey and the Republic of Cyprus are the ones that have accepted to collaborate with us as we seek other avenues, especially in the Eastern world and the Western world as well. Mm-hmm. So we have a strategic plan to, mm-hmm. Widen our wings.
Very good. We shall be looking at that strategic plan and, of course, the future. But for now, we just want to go to Kileleshwa, where Architects Alliance of Kenya, they're having a press briefing. They want to address the issues of pending approvals by the county government of Nairobi, where they are saying that this is negatively impacting the construction industry. Let's go in there and listen.
To talk about the role of architects in economic development. We are the primary creators of buildings. As the government and the president has said, housing is an enabler of creating jobs. Creating jobs in housing is something that the current government is advocating through affordable housing and other industrial development and other factors. Now, architects design these houses, but we take them to authorities for approval. Now, as drivers of the economy, we do our bit to create the buildings and to facilitate that process, whereby we create the drawings for our clients who will eventually build them and make them spaces for people to live in. During that process, employment is created from the financiers who finance the projects, from the contractors who build, and to the workers who work on those sites. So principally, it starts with the architects. So in long and short, that's who we are. Thank you very much. My name is Architect Kangau Kega.
Are you in communication with relevant government agencies and authorities to ensure that your needs are considered during decision-making process?
We are, as the Architects Alliance and members of the Architectural Association of Kenya, with our Board of Registration of Architects, we work with government, we work with our representatives, and we consult. Like we have just said now, we have engaged the county government once, twice, and we are constantly talking to them. When you see us here, it means that we have reached to a level whereby we want to talk about this. We talk about this independently in our own projects, but then we come together and we share notes. And we are finding that challenge because the end result of a building is to accommodate people, but the trickle down is that it creates economic development. So when somewhere along the way there is a roadblock, then that is what we are saying that it needs to be resolved. Thank you very much.
On your screen are members of the Architect Alliance of Kenya, and they're complaining about the huge backlog of approvals that are pending at the Nairobi City County, which is affecting negatively the construction industry, and they're pleading with the city authorities to try and hasten the process of clearing that backlog. For your information, the system is automated, and we know for sure that there has been delays as the various authorities in terms of the National Construction Authority, Engineers Board of Kenya, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, as well as Engineers Board of Kenya. You know, they are in the process of trying to regularize the approval process for housing plans, and so that somehow explains the delays in those approvals. But we hope that the process is going to be expedited. We are back in the studio. We're discussing educational innovation in Africa, and we're in the company of Private Socrates. He works with Ask Uni, which is a digital platform to help African students secure scholarships on the international market. Thank you very much, Socrates. You were telling me that you know, you have been very active in trying to secure a scholarship for students from Africa, and connecting them with institutions of higher learnings in Turkey and Cyprus.
Yes.
And you talked about, you know, expanding your scope. Who else are you looking at?
We have written collaboration requests to institutions in Canada. We are also in conversations with certain institutions in the US, because if you look at data over time, these countries have some of the most recognized institutions offering quality research and education. So we have approached them. We are talking to MIT, we are talking to Stanford, so that collaboratively we can open educational avenues here at home. Yes.
And when you look at the bulk of students who are securing scholarships abroad,
yes,
what courses are they pursuing?
Kimani scholarships is one part of it. They are students who are able to pay fee from their pockets, so long as we are able to identify and enroll them to leading institutions. So most students we're looking at 70% of students in our portal are students who are looking to pursue engineering courses, students who are looking to pursue medicine, as well as arts. These three segmented courses are very lucrative, and we are happy that we've helped quite a number of students.
Yes. How many have you helped so far?
We're looking at, for the last 1 year, we've helped 448 students.
In the last 1 year?
In the last 1 year. We've worked with 17 private universities in Turkey, Istanbul, universities like Okan. We've really worked with them. We've enrolled up to 275 students at Okan University in Istanbul, Turkey, and we're looking to double this number in the next academic year. Yes.
And all these are ending up in Turkey?
Yes. Yeah, well, we're already having 2 universities in Cyprus that are picking students for September enrollment.
Which are these universities?
We have Princeton University. It offers engineering in Cyprus. And then we have one, it's quite a mouthful of a name. I'll pick it up as we continue. Yes.
How many students do you have in Cyprus?
Those that are flying out in September are 17 in number, the ones that are flying out in September.
17?
Yes.
And what courses are they going to study?
Engineering.
Engineering, all of them?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk to these universities and we profile them on our portal, we also have the corresponding fees that each university bills the students that are going. So if a student at a university in Cyprus is paying, let's say, $4,000 a year at that university, if we are able to enroll a student from Kenya to that university in Cyprus, we have negotiated with that university for that student to pay half of what a resident student.
So that will be about
$2,000.
$2,000.
Yes.
And that's about 240,000.
40,000 a year, which for an engineering course, Kimani, is quite affordable.
How much would the same student pay here in Kenya?
I don't have the exact data or statistics, but we're looking to the point of, for an engineering or medical course in any public university, or even private for that matter, we are looking at close to 400K for a self-sponsoring student.
400,000?
Yes, a year.
A year.
Yes.
And so, apart from, securing the scholarship, and the exposure that comes with, being a student in a foreign country, what are the benefits of studying abroad?
We'll go back to the levels of education and training, the quality of training and the quality of research in terms of resources. These countries that I've mentioned are way ahead of us according to data and statistics. So once you go to study in some of these institutions that are rated top globally, you're able to be predisposed to certain kind of resources that unfortunately we do not have locally. Yes.
And of course the issues of language barrier, because for example, in Turkey, the most widely spoken language there is Turkish. But for example, we don't have any African country whose main language is Turkish. And when you look at it, even from a Kenyan perspective, a majority of us, we either speak Swahili, we either speak English, or even our own mother tongue. And so how easy is it for Kenyan students to settle in Turkey, bearing in mind the language barrier?
Interesting question, Kimani. There are 2 types of universities in Turkey. We have private universities and private universities. Our database is predominantly private universities. The language of instruction at private universities in Turkey is English. But for public universities, the language of instruction is Turkish. Now, if we get a student from Kenya who prefers to study at a public university in Turkey, the first 1 year they'll undergo a Turkish language proficiency training for 1 year and take an examination called YOS testing. So once you're done with the 1 year of Turkish language training, you will be enrolled to that particular public university. Yes.
And the 1 year for the YOS program is also sponsored?
Yes, for the public universities, it's sponsored by that particular institution you're joining. Yes.
What about under your arrangement?
As much as we are working so hard to bring some of these systems up, it's also a business, Kimani, and for every business model, you have to make money. at the end of the day, so that we can, be assured of expansion. So if we successfully get a scholarship for you at a public university in Turkey, there's some amount of money that you will pay to Ask Uni as an agency fee.
How much will this be?
Now, if we secure a fully sponsored program for you, where you are not going to pay anything, you will cater for your flight tickets. You'll also cater for an agency fee that ranges from 1,000 USD to 2,000 USD.
1,000 USD to 2,000 USD. That is the agency fees.
That's agency fee for a full scholarship that you are able to get through our program. Yes.
Any other fees or any other payment am I supposed to make?
We're looking at flight expenses.
So you've talked about flights.
Yeah. We're looking at maybe health insurance while you're there.
Health insurance.
Yes, that is.
And this comes to how much?
It's negotiated depending with
on average.
We're looking at 50K Kenya money annually.
40 to 50.
Yes, annually. Yes.
And so once you've secured, and so when you talk about between 1,000 and 2,000 agency fees, that these are in dollars. And so in Kenya money, so you'll be talking about 140 to 240,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes.
Once you get a full scholarship.
Yes.
And this is for the entire duration.
Yeah, 4 years.
The 4 years.
Yes.
Engineering will take 4 years in their country, in Turkey?
5.
5.
4 for training, 1 industrial training, and a couple of months for work study. They have a program where you get into industrial go-downs, where you're paid to, you get into character, what you've been learning. Yes.
Help us understand this. I mean, the critics of these scholarship programs, they argue that it is some form of a brain drain, whereby, the best African students are picked up by foreign universities. They are offered trainings. They're taken through the best education system. And after school, they are not allowed to come back. They are offered jobs, very high paying jobs, to a point that, they don't think twice about coming back home and helping in socio-economic development. How true is this?
It's not true. It boils down to an individual. If you go outside to study and you successfully graduate and you have these skills, then you reflect on what goes back home in terms of job hunting, a backlog of graduates yet to secure even industrial attachment, and yet that hosting country has a ready job for you. Your guess is as good as mine.
Your guess is as good as mine. Yes. And so through your program, I mean, do you have a way of helping Kenyan students who have secured scholarship abroad, to come back and settle back here to give back to the society? Because all of us, we owe to this country and we ought to give back to the Kenyan society.
We are entertaining such thoughts in future. Right now, our primary mandate with Ask Uni is to facilitate a seamless educational opportunity abroad, and it stays at that. So you will come to us, you'll tell us, hey, I just got a B stand at any secondary school, and I would wish to study outside the country on this particular course. We'll pick it up from there. We will identify the universities that offer that course, travel arrangements, visa, dormitory, health insurance, all that. Then we will link you up with that select university. When you get there, I didn't mention that we have an office in Istanbul, Turkey, that receives you right at the airport, facilitates you to that particular university, and helps you to start your studies. Beyond that, Kimani, we do not have that particular mandate or portfolio to check with you after your studies. Yes.
And so you're talking about a scholarship valued at about $4,000 US?
Yes.
Did you say 4,000?
For 400,000, if you take a course here in Kenya, a private program in engineering or medicine would go for 400K. Whereas,
400. That's about 3,600 USD.
So if you do your valuations at that particular university, it's more or less that figure.
It is more or less that figure.
Yes.
And you're doing this for 5 years.
Yes.
Wonderful. And so, in the medium term, how many students are you looking to in this uplift program?
Depends, because we have a 5-year strategic plan as well as a 10-year strategic plan.
What does it say?
It's important to note, Kimani, that AskUni is now in 7 African countries. We have AskUni Kenya, AskUni Tanzania, AskUni Somalia, AskUni Mali, as well as AskUni Ghana. We also have a head liaison office in Istanbul, Turkey, that receives these students. So in the next 5 years, we really look to penetrate other African countries. And our 10-year strategic plan is to be a globally recognized educational consulting firm. Yes.
Apart from the 7 countries that you operate in currently, which are the other countries that you are targeting in the medium term?
We're looking at the global south. We're looking at South Africa. Yeah. We're looking at Zimbabwe. We are looking at Rwanda and Burundi. Because these are markets that have been identified to value education. So we are looking on how we can do collaboration requests with them. Yes.
And you also say that you're in Mali?
Yes.
Mali.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's very rare to hear a Kenyan company, you know, having operations in Mali. How did you end up there, bearing in mind that, you know, they are undergoing a severe civil strife?
One thing that I'm yet to note to you, Kimani, is that when for an ordinary African student or African young person, when you tell them that, hey, I'm gonna get you a learning opportunity abroad, it comes with some level of, I'm not so sure about that. What's the proof that you're not, you know, you don't have ulterior motives? We do actually bring Turkish universities to Africa to hold educational fairs. We brought 7 Turkish universities to Nairobi 2 months ago to really exhibit the courses that they offer. So when you talk about these other countries in Africa, educational representatives from Turkey have visited their capital cities and conducted educational fairs, and that's how we are able to draw collaborations with them. It's a demonstrated process. So if you don't believe us, then we'll tell you that, okay, wait, in October next year, we're bringing 10 universities from Turkey to where you are. Come to Nairobi, come to Sarit, come to Garden City and meet them. They will show you what they do and all these. Yeah.
And, you know, earlier on you talked about that you have so far airlifted about 400 students to Turkish universities.
Yes.
What percentage of these are Kenyans?
The data I gave you is Kenya, AskUni Kenya.
Is the 400?
Yes.
They are just for Kenyans?
Yes, AskUni Kenya.
And so what about the other countries?
The real-time data with those countries is not with us. It's with the AskUni office in Turkey. We are yet to really exchange notes on the kind of numbers other countries are doing. Yeah.
But from your analysis, I mean, who would be having the highest number?
AskUni Somali.
Somali?
Yes. Interestingly.
Wow. Why Somali?
I don't want to preempt anything, but the Somali group of people love to tap education abroad as opposed to home. Yes.
Does it have any connection also with religion? Because Turkish, the majority are Arab. Muslims, and the same applies to Somalis.
Yeah, it could be. You know, when you share doctrines, when you share cultures, there's some sort of bonding and trust that is created. So it's easier for them to, go to Turkey and study because of the intercultural connections that they do have. Yes.
Very good. If you're just joining us, we're talking about innovation in education, or what you would call education or innovation here in Africa. We are the company of Private Socrates. He works with Ask Uni, which is a digital platform that links African students with university scholarships in Cyprus as well as Turkey. He's telling me that so far they have managed to link about 400 Kenyans to Turkish universities, and by the end of this year, did you talk about this year that you're taking about 17 students to Cyprus?
Yes,
to Cyprus.
September. Yeah.
And so we're also looking at the issues of investment in innovation here in Africa, and that is the kind of conversation that we are having here. We just now want to take you to the National Assembly, where the Departmental Committee on Energy is holding a meeting with various stakeholders regarding the inquiry on the high cost of energy here in Kenya. Some of the stakeholders involved includes private players. So we just want to go there, and then I will come back and continue with the rest of the conversation.
In signing of this particular contract, we want to run away from. So what we are attempting to do now, because we can't run away from signed contracts without a reason, then is to be able to establish connection between civil servants, senior government people who serve in the same energy ministries, directly or indirectly being involved in part of these queued agreements, and then that becomes a good reason to say that this particular contract, even if we run away from it, then we are not breaking any particular law. Maybe from where you sit, where agreements have been signed, some of them international, and then you wake up and say, we don't want them anymore. What do you think is the implication?
Chair, if you listen to me carefully in my presentation, I say today, if you set up a commission or a committee of the engineers, very qualified engineers in an area of electricity supply, and then you say we want to carry out and get a proper report on the supply of electricity by IPPs. Maybe you will find 3 or 4, they are the people who are doing the job. And that would be enough reason to get away with these people. And any investor who is supposed to invest must be specific, sincere, honest, and up to the agreement that he or she entered into. So you cannot keep an investor or fear, say that we want to attract investors when the ordinary person in that particular country cannot afford to access the investments that those investors must put in place. It is the duty of any given government to protect its citizens. So, and I told you in my opening remarks that if you had a body of engineers, and Elisha is here, he worked for power and lighting, and you make him one, he knows where these people are coming from and where they are going. That is why I said we just came to supplement on what already you know. You will find that some of these IPPs are supplying air and making billions and billions of money in foreign exchange. Thank you, Chair.
Before I give just a minute, before I give Elisha, Daktari, actually some of those contracts are signed, they clearly say that we are paying you for supplying air. Even without establishing whether or not they are supplying air, there are contracts that are signed under take or pay agreement, whether you have cheaper power available or not. Whatever they produce, you must buy by force. Like Turkana is signed in that particular manner, that whatever it is they produce, you must buy by force, even if you have a cheaper source at that particular time. That is the agreement now. Now, with that agreement, there's nothing else to establish other than to understand why it was signed that way in the first place. There are others who are paying huge amounts of money through what you call capacity charge. Then you are paying them for keeping the generators there. just to keep the generators there. The amount of money we pay them, 1%, only 1% is for the power they are supplying, 99% is for keeping the generators there. But the agreement says we pay them for keeping the generators there. And you can't tell them today to take their generators. If you take them their generators, if you tell them to take their generators away, you pay them the money, you agreed. That is a capacity charge. So the elephant in the room is big. And therefore, we appreciate that approach, which in any case, it's true. At some point, then the government must protect its people, must crack the whip, and then look at these contracts whether or not they were signed objectively. Let me ask just one member before we release you, so that he can make one comment. Let me start with Owino.
Thank you, Chair. To Dr. Tuli, I just wanted some clarification. How is having a workers' body representative sit in the EPRA board going to help regulate or reduce the cost of power? Because you said you should be having a representative there. Thank you.
Then Mr. Mheshimiwa Elisha.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
I'm glad that Dr. Tuli is here because he represents a bigger majority of those who work for us. But I think more importantly, you are aware in the 12th Parliament, we attempted to investigate, do an inquiry on IPPs. Then Duale came with a motion. The government then appointed the Kwasi, under Kwasi chairmanship of Ngumi, who was representing political interests. And they made their recommendations based on what they wanted. But more important, I think, is what Dr. Tuli is saying. As Parliament, do we see skewed contracts and allow those skewed contracts to be able to exploit Kenyans? Is that panacea? Is that something that we can do as a prophylax to ensure that Kenyans can believe that Article 1 of the Constitution gives us the mandate to represent them in Parliament? I think this is a conversation we need to have. But I think, like I've mentioned it before, those who are stealing from Kenyans are fellow Kenyans who worked at the Ministry of Energy. The owners of these companies worked in the Ministry of Energy. And that is why you find a company like Thika Power. You've already paid them capacity charge, you're finished with them. They're still saying that even after the Kenyans are paid for the electricity, they want to own that company. It's not possible. It's not possible. You can't eat your own children. You can't eat the gentlemen who have been paying your salaries. You can't go back there and now start charging them, because apart from Kenyan, which is charging Kenya 7 shillings per kilowatt hour, these other companies are charging 30 shillings.
All right.
If you go on the Lifeline charge, it is 12 shillings per kilowatt hour, but if you add taxes, it translates to 17. The normal, me and you and Dr. Tuoli, we pay about 26 shillings per kilowatt hour.
Thank you.
So therefore means even what Kenya Power is getting from this IPP is zero. Thank you.
All right.
Those are members of the Energy Committee of the National Assembly there, having the never-ending conversation around the cost of electricity in Kenya. And we have seen members of the COTU, led by their chairperson, that is Francis Atwoli, there, trying to respond to some of the questions and, of course, giving their input as the measures that we need to put in place to ensure that we suppress the cost of electricity in this country. This has been such a long time kind of a debate. I don't know how we're going to bring this conversation to a close. Well, but we continue with our conversation here in studio around education innovation in Africa, and the issue of scholarship. Private Socrates works with Ask Uni, which is a digital platform that links university students with, with students with university scholarships in Turkey and Cyprus. And you have talked about 17 students who are expected to get a scholarship in Cyprus. And you also talked about expanding your collaboration with other universities in North America and in Europe as well. Are you also looking at university scholarship in Africa?
Again, it's an idea that we've once or twice thought about. Kimani, we have to look at reception, how flexible universities are in terms of receiving ideas. I must sadly note that local universities within the country or within the continent are yet to really tap into our platform, the Ask Uni platform. Reasons best known to them. We've sent collaboration requests earlier. We are yet to receive any sort of response. Yes.
So who activates the conversation? Is it Ask Uni or universities? Who approach the other?
We do the approach. We
Ask Uni.
Yes, as Ask Uni. We look at how your university is rated in the global educational indexes, and once we realize that your university has a lot of success stories in certain programs, we do write to you. We explain to you the Ask Uni model. We explore your scholarship options, and once it's flexible, we initiate a partnership conversation. Yes.
And so, out of the 54 African countries, you haven't yet clinched any partnership deal with any university?
Sadly, yes. Yes.
Is this a conversation that you are having with trying to see how you can bring on board more African universities to offer scholarship to African students? Because granted, we still have some very strong universities in Africa.
We do, yeah.
The University of Nairobi is one of them. University of Cape Town. There are so many.
We like I've just mentioned to you, Kimani, we look at your scholarship options and scholarship models. When we wrote to local universities, when we were rolling out this particular program, the kind of scholarship options they were giving to us were not really viable with the kind of students we wanted to connect, right? When let's talk about more university where I studied. For them, their scholarship options revolved around philanthropists like Ratansi, who pays some money into a fund. So when you write to a university to collaborate in matters of scholarship, they have to, consult with these philanthropists who put fund in their accounts. So this conversation takes long before fruition is realized. Yes.
What about universities in countries like Egypt, South Africa, Morocco?
Again, we have to look at the timelines that we've spent in operations. We are not very old into the game. That's why we have strategic plans. So right now, we've only tapped into the ones I've mentioned, but there are ongoing conversations that we hope to close. Yes. Yeah.
Do you have students who have gone to Turkey? They've benefited from scholarships, and then they are back and they're helping in nation building.
With only 2 years in operations, Kimani.
You have been around for 2 years.
Yes. We're looking at the first bunch of success stories in another 2 years. So we are excited to that prospect. We hope that 2024 will be a testimonial year for us when we finally see these students graduate and be conferred with the powers to, do research and train. Yeah.
In terms of the innovation that you have developed, and when you look at the future, because the world is going digital, do you see this is likely to be the technology to go for the future?
As we were beginning these conversations, we said that tech and the future are intertwined, and I also mentioned that that future is now here. We hope that other men and women will come up with other, innovations that will make quality education more accessible. Remember, the key term is quality education. We want to really hope that these kind of things that we are coming up with will increase access to this quality training that we are looking for. Yes.
And so what is the procedure? I mean, for any students who is watching this program and they will be interested in tapping into your resources, what is the procedure? The portal is askuni.com. Once you visit that particular website or portal, there's an application button. When you click that button, you're going to be asked to upload your high school certificates. If you're seeking master's or PhD, you're going to be uploading your undergraduate certificates. You're also going to be uploading your identification. Could be an ID card or a passport, a valid passport. You're also going to upload a motivation letter, what we could call an application letter. Now, these documents will be sorted by the Ask Uni personnel in the sense of what degree do you want to pursue. We'll also check which universities in Turkey or Cyprus offers that particular degree and the kind of corresponding fee that they offer. Then after 2 weeks of application, you will receive an email from us telling you we have identified 10 universities within Istanbul, Turkey that offers engineering. These are the fee. Now, this university has a scholarship, either full scholarship or partial scholarship. This university offers work study program, so you are the one to choose. So once you are able to choose a university, we will contact that university on your behalf. They'll go through your papers, then they'll send you an offer letter. This offer letter will have the fee payment options as well as the requirements for the 4-year time. Once you receive this offer letter and you're comfortable with those provisions, we will then process your application to the university in terms of the next intake as well as your visa. And that marks the beginning of that conversation. Yes. And of course, Turkey being a member of the European Union, it gives you the flexibility, to visit other countries in the European Union.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Very good. Before I let you go, what is your message to the young people who are watching this program and, they had good grades in high school, but because of one reason or the other, they have not managed to advance to universities or colleges?
Kimani, they say that if you don't travel, you'll believe your mom is the best cook. We are calling these students to talk to us as CUNY. We will help them to explore and identify universities abroad that are in sync with their desires and the programs that they hope to take. I want to ask them to speak to us. As much as we are doing these placements, Kimani, we also do educational consulting. We have an office in Nairobi at Basma Plaza, Eastleigh, where you can do a walk-in and have a conversation with us. We'll be able to guide you to really jumpstart your access to quality education. Yes.
Very good. Well, thank you very much indeed, Socrates, for your time and for sharing those insights with us. Your time is highly appreciated.
All right.
Well, we have been having this conversation around education, innovation and scholarship with private Socrates. He works with Ask Uni, which is a digital platform that connects university scholarships and high school students. Well, you're watching BizCheck live from Broadcasting House. The first hour is gone. We are now entering into the second hour, where we shall be looking at digital agriculture. But before we go to the next hour, remember on Monday, the world will be celebrating the World Ranger Day. and the preparations are taking place in Gilgil, where our reporter Serafina Robbie is now going to give us some sneak preview as to the arrangements that are taking place there. Serafina Robbie, what do you have for us this morning? I know it's a beautiful morning down there in Gilgil. The weather is quite sunny. Do you want to give us an update on what's happening in preparations for the Wild Ranger Day?
That we are. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. My name is Polnari Javans Mwandiga, the commanding officer, Forest Law Enforcement Academy. Our mandate as Kenya Forest Service Training Institute for Rangers. We draw our mandate from the Forest Law, from the Forest Conservation and Management Act of 2016, where our major task is to train service personnel from the rangers, technical personnel, professionals, and other stakeholders on forest protection.
When it comes to the training, what exactly do you take the recruits through?
I will take them through rigorous training, especially physical training, drills, and also service laws and other related laws to ensure them that they enforce as they take their duties in the field on forest protection. More so, the rangers are taken through various units, about 21 units, to ensure that we impact the necessary skills, knowledge, and competences that will allow them to do their work in all the stations that will be deployed after the training.
I've seen there are so many activities that are happening at this particular place. Perhaps how many recruits are here and for how long are they being trained for?
In this particular area, we are training about 2,700 recruits. They've been taken through by about 140 instructors to train on various skills that will be used as they complete their training. They have been here for the last 4 months, since 3rd April 2023, and they are expected to complete their training at around early October, where they've completed the 6 months training.
For anyone who wants to come and join and be trained to be a ranger, a forest ranger, what are the qualifications? What are you looking for?
For a ranger, we look for, first, they must be Kenyans of between 18 to 28 years old. People of sound mental health, and also they are taken through medical tests during recruitment to allow them now come and take this rigorous training, which requires a lot of somebody who is totally who can make a judgment on the work is going to do in the field. First, they must understand how to work with the communities, especially the forest neighboring communities, on the protection, conservation, and the management of our forest resources. So we have to take people, trainees who are ready to work with us and who are ready to share the knowledge with the surrounding communities, intelligence collection, also the assistance also in issues of investigations during their forest patrols and also when they are performing the protection duties.
During other recruitment processes, we normally see, especially for the police, we see them look for at your teeth, your feet, your height. Is that considered also in this particular recruitment?
All those qualifications are considered. They should not have any scars to indicate that maybe they're injured in other areas. They must have also the heights that are acceptable, just like in other agencies.
What is the recommended height?
5 feet and 3 for ladies, and 5 feet and 5 for men. So the rest, make sure that the feet, all the posture should be that of a soldier. So we have to look for those during recruitment, so that during training, we don't encounter any difficulties in training such a ranger. We must have all those qualifications to be recruited and join the service.
You said how long does it take to train them?
It takes 6 months. But for other courses that may be skill improvement courses, maybe potential, maybe command courses, some take between 6 and 9 months, depending on the area of specialization.
With the changing technology, we've also seen that there are so many things that are evolving. Have you also incorporated that in your training to ensure that they're able to cope with that when they're released to the field?
Actually, technology is one of the areas that will be taken through during the training. The use of technology is key, especially as we encounter the dynamics of insecurity and other threats affecting forest resources and also the country. So they're taken through issues like we call Survey 1 to 3, where they use technology to detect crime and report in real time. So issues of drones is also introduced in Kenya Forest Service operations, so that the rangers, as they patrol, there's also technology applied to get to where the crimes are taking place through such kind of technologies. In terms of communication also, they're using equipment that can report real time and also record the incidents that are happening on particular areas that have been cited where destruction or maybe other crimes are taking place in the forest.
When it comes to surveillance, apart from the use of drones, what are the other techniques that you're training them to use?
The main techniques we are trying to train them. First of all is the detection of crime, and ensure that instead of using so many rangers to detect a crime, through technology we can have a very few who can go and reach the places where the crime is, using the shortest routes through technology, where they're guided by their phones. We've got phones that have been designed to direct the rangers to areas where there is crime is taking place through the what we call satellite imaging, through our GIS section in the headquarters. The phones are linked with the rangers with the GIS system, where any crime that is taking place is detected through satellite, and it appears on the rangers' phones. So the phone, they get the distance where the crime is taking place, the nature of the crime, and also they give the shortest route to get to the areas where crime is taking place in the forest areas. So we are using GIS phones to get the communication using those satellite images. So that's another area our rangers are being taken through, so that as they graduate, they are ready to take up the tasks. Also, we have aerial surveillance. There are some crimes that take place in areas where it is deep in the forest, where we use now aerial surveillance to detect. And those aircrafts are fitted with GPS systems, where they record the coordinates that are used to direct the rangers now to get into those areas where the crimes are taking deep in the forest. Also, we are using also on the ocean. We have got what we call we are using our boats, which are fitted with systems that can direct rangers to where crimes are taking place along the coastline, where they're fitted with the GPS systems for those teams that are doing surveillance on the ocean. So currently, from the land to sea, we are training our rangers on how to detect crimes on all those areas. So after they come out, we are sure that the mangrove areas in the coastal regions are safe, and also our terrestrial forest in the land, they're also very safe. That is through technology, thorough training, physical training, and also use of modern equipment to actually respond to their duties.
There are different challenges in different forests. Let's say the challenges in a forest like Boni is different from the challenges in Mao or in any other forest. How do you ensure that they are trained to fit these different challenges that are experienced in different forests?
Yeah, we're taking them through certain techniques which will be at par with other security agencies, so that when they're deployed in those areas like the North Rift and also in the Boni areas, they can work with those teams in the ground so that they can, the techniques they're using, they should be equal. They should not be under threat. They are equal to respond to all those threats, especially in weapon use, detection of crime. Actually, we are taking them through what we call multi-agents operations, where they'll work with other agencies to ensure those crime-prone areas which require teams from the national government, they team up together and work. So their training must be at par with all those other agencies in terms of crime response, detection, and also how to mitigate those crimes.
Given that they closely work with the communities, what sensitization methods are you using to ensure that they have a good rapport with the community when they go to the field?
Yeah, we train our rangers to work with the communities, what we call the communities forest associations. So those communities in all forested areas, the forest neighboring communities, they are organized groups where we take them through on how to report intelligence on where crimes are taking place, and the people who are performing those crimes, they come from the communities. So as we work with the communities, we get very good information. So we take our rangers through that kind of how they integrate with the communities and ensure they share the challenges within all forested areas to see the people who are taking, maybe who are performing those, or taking the people who are involved in crimes are detected early enough through the community information. And also we train them on how to work with the communities to ensure they respect the fundamental rights of the communities. So we take them also through the Bill of Rights, that's Section 4 of the Constitution, to ensure that as they do their duties, they don't use a lot of force to arrest those offenders, and also they ensure that they obey the law. So those are some of the areas we are taking them through, so that we don't fight with the communities as they did.
심각하다니요. 그게 무슨 말씀?
환자 의학적으로 할 수 있는 건 다 한 상태입니다. 이제 환자의 의지와 기적을 바랄 수밖에 없습니다.
Tusiwe ni wenye kuhukumiana na tusiwe ni wenye kujaji wengine, yani kuambia tuwa encourage watu katika kufanya ibada na kuomba msamaha na kurudi katika nyumba za Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
Na vile vile pia mja anaweza kutekeleza vitendo vyema sana mpaka akawa karibu sana na janna, lakini akatenda kiovu kimoja ambacho kinampelekea kupata adhabu ya Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala na kuingia katika jahannam.
Mtoto wetu ako na kisirani, sijui kama ni bibi alimchapa jana, ni dioe.
Hani mianyuki ama na nini hiyo? Tupia drawer, is it part?
Ati?
Tupia artist drawer, is it a part? Yangu lete. Nilitumia mbolea yako kuchora. Huko unasema. Enda kwa labor ward.
Kwa labor ward ama kwa labor wafanyikazi? Ule kwa wafanyikazi.
Si ndio kwa labor ward.
Si labor ward.
Labor courts.
Labor ward ni pale ya mama kujifungua.
Sio huko. Why are you working with me mheshimiwa? Kwa nini? Nauliza.
Mimi naargue na wewe.
Askari. Anga utakola kumangana kwa tayari moja. Anga waache tuongee na mama. Unaelewa?
Well, thank you very much. If you're just joining us, we are coming to you live from Broadcasting House, where we're now into the second hour of Base Check. The first hour is down, where our conversation revolved around educational innovation and scholarship. You remember, we're keeping an eye on what's happening in St. Petersburg in Russia, where the second Africa-Russia summit is taking place, and some of the conversations that are expected to take place there include security as well as food security in Africa, bearing in mind that just last week Russia pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal, which was brokered by the United Nations and Turkey, which sought to make the price of grain competitive around the world, and this is expected to exacerbate the cost of grains around the world. So we are keeping an eye on what's happening there, and of course, remember, President William Ruto is expected to visit various parts of the coast to appraise himself with the infrastructural developments that are taking place there, and our reporters are down there. Well, we are back in studio. Our next conversation revolves around digital agriculture. Joining me in the studio is Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilimogram. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much as well for hosting us.
And Agustin Moi is also the Chief Finance Officer at Kilimogram. Asante sana for joining us. First of all, and I want to start with Lewis. Help us understand, what is Kilimogram?
Kilimogram is an online social marketplace that empowers small-scale farmers in Kenya by connecting them to B2B markets such as schools and hospitals, by linking them to support service providers such as financial services and extension services, and lastly by providing them with information on issues pertaining to farming and the agricultural sector, such as we have market prices and rainfall and weather patterns. Yes.
What is the definition of a small-scale farmer?
We usually define a small-scale farmer per the acreage on where they're farming in. Anything below 5 acres is that farmer ranks as a small-scale farmer. Yes.
And statistically speaking, I mean, almost 80% of Kenyan farmers, they fall under that category.
That's very true.
Very good. And let's turn now to Moi. You're from Tanzania, and here you are, using technology, to link farmers with suppliers and creating linkages for farmers. How is the experience for you?
So far so good. First of all, I've been born and raised here, mostly raised by my mom. My dad was from the Tanzanian side, but I've been educated, gotten all my experience here, just looking to make an impact in the country.
So you're more Kenyan than Tanzanian?
Yes.
Very well. And so how did you end up, in this space?
Immediately after campus, Lewis and I, we interned at Twiga Foods. So being exposed to the ecosystem, got to talking during our shifts, did our research, just picked our interest more and more. And before we knew it, we set out on a project. First of all, some desktop research. I eventually ended up listing small farm in Nanyuki just to test out the theories. 1 and 2 years we were doing the field research, then eventually ended up on agreeing to start a platform on the same. It's an incredible learning process. We're still creating.
So you had a pilot program?
Yes.
In Nanyuki?
Yes.
Okay. What were you growing?
Hay. Hay.
Hay?
Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting. I've never had young people thinking about venturing into hay farming. How is it, by the way? Was it a good business venture?
Well, it was an incredible learning lesson.
But we failed.
You burnt your fingers?
Yeah, we...
You didn't make hay where the sun was shining?
Yeah, imagine we didn't. We did not, because we faced those challenges that smallholder farmers face, and we faced them firsthand. In that, when we were starting, we didn't know where we could get, farming machines. We didn't know where we could get a good water source. We were actually learning on how to farm hay as we were going. And on top of that, we hadn't really studied the season at the moment, so we were kind of expecting the rains. We did it around July to August. We were kind of expecting, the rains, and then we also need a drying season after you harvest hay, so that you just leave it to dry out. Then again, that's when it was starting to rain.
I think
so you were doing things the wrong way.
Yes.
But the concept was good.
Yes, it was.
We actually wanted to learn while you were doing it. So in our books, it was a success.
It was a success? Yes. Because you ended up failing. The failure was also part of the learning process.
Yes. Yeah.
So why do you think you failed?
It's because we went through the same process as any other smallholder farmer goes through. We didn't do enough research when we started farming the hay. So, as I've told you, we didn't check the seasons. And on top of that, the research that we did on how to farm hay was purely, online. We didn't go to talk to an extension service provider on, someone who can take us through the step-by-step process on how to do it. And on top of that, even our research on the market, where can you take this hay? It was more of information. You didn't get all the information you need to farm the hay.
So you got into this business without arming yourself with the right information.
Yes.
Was it deliberate?
In a way, yes.
In a way, yes. Because you wanted to fail so that you can learn. Was your failure good?
Okay, eventually it was good. We didn't want to fail because you're still using a lot of capital on it. But it kind of showed us the challenges that smallholder farmers go through, and that's when we steered towards now creating the platform, because we realized, okay, now if you're going through these things, then there may be other smallholder farmers who are going through the same. So,
how much did you invest?
Around 250,000.
That's $250,000 shillings.
Yes.
Which year was this?
That was in 2020.
2020, at the height of COVID-19.
Exactly.
Wow. So did you fail because of the pandemic, or did you fail because you didn't take time to plan?
It was mostly because we didn't take time to plan, and also the fact that we were a bit far away because we were still working at Twiga. So we had our team there who were farm managers at the farm, but we couldn't travel as much to see what's going on. So that also contributed to the failure.
Who came up with the idea of hay farming?
Yeah, that was me. I'll take responsibility.
That was you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how did you end up, with hay farming instead of, the usual stuff, beans, tomatoes, potatoes?
Yeah, I think it was just about accessibility of the piece of land. We got it at a good rate. Then asked around, just desktop research, where does what is mostly farmed in Nanyuki. First thing was hay. Then let's try if there has to be a reason why many people are doing it there. Yes, that's how we ended up.
That's how you ended up, doing hay farming. Would you still do it?
Oh yeah, still planning to do it with what we know now. We've definitely established more contacts. There are lessons we picked, like for instance, from the challenges we're facing. Like at first, even to get a tractor, to lease a tractor from some place to our land was a bit hectic. That's where we were feeling like, let's try and digitize this. Let's sign up, people owning tractors here, so that you can easily just get it through your phone, because you had to know someone who knows someone to get a tractor. And even then you feel like you're being a bit overcharged. So just wanted to bring some bit of sanity to that entire farming process. Getting inputs from seeds, fertilizers, it was always a lot of phone calls, a bit hectic. So just trying to streamline the whole process. We have definitely learned, and we can definitely do better.
And of course, bearing in mind that hay farming is capital intensive.
That's true.
So what lessons have you picked along with the way that you are going to use, and what would you do differently?
For one, besides now getting all the information, you also saw the need that if you're doing farming, you have to be there. It's not something that you can do when you're in Nairobi. Say you have to at least make a point of going to your farm at least once in a week or two. That way you'll be able to actually see. Yeah, 2 times in a week. That way you'll actually be able to see.
What if you had to install CCTV cameras? Would that help?
But that's not all, because
So your physical presence is very
presence is, because it's like you need to kind of form a bond with the plants themselves. You go and see. This is what's, you kind of, if you're doing tomatoes, you go and check the leaves. You see, is there any tuta absoluta? Are there any whiteflies? That presence is very important.
It has to be very involving.
Yes.
And that is one lesson that people ought to understand, that for any business to thrive, you must really get involved into it. And I'm also saying this, because I'm also involved in other businesses, and this is one aspect of failure, that we encounter. That you think you can go, you start your hotel business in, let's say, Nanyuki, and then you come back to Nairobi and you expect, to get profit at the end of the month. Every business, when it is young, before you develop, proper strategies, proper systems, you must be there. And forget about you talking about twice a week. It requires you to be there on a daily basis, because it's just like a small baby that you're trying to bring up. And you really have to ensure that, the baby is well bathed, the baby is well fed. Is the baby showing any signs of illness or anything like that? Did the baby have enough sleep? I mean, it is very engaging, and that is one lesson that we must appreciate, that for anybody who is planning to get into business, whatever form of business, your presence, physical presence, is very, very important. What other lesson did you learn, Moi?
Actually, I'd like, before we move on to the next point, I'd like my partner to talk about his experience with tomatoes, because he'd actually done that.
So got into tomatoes, eh?
Yeah.
Let's him put his thoughts together, and then we'll come to you.
What lessons we learned? I think from the whole experience, makes me think that we're kind of in the right space to drive change through Kilinogram, because the main lesson, the main motivation we were doing it was to learn it firsthand, what are the challenges firsthand, and from end to end of the cycle. So with all the lessons we've learned, we are trying to put that into a platform, help the farmers and also our customers from an operations perspective, and also from a system perspective. So we've been focused on building systems that will help the smallholder farmer. For instance, an extension of our service is you have a shop, a virtual shop, where you can manage your inventory end to end. I think that's why that's one lesson I picked from that. Let's try and digitize everything, so it's easy to manage a farm and also get any support that you need from around.
We're very keen to hear about how you burnt your fingers through tomato farming. And I'm praying to the Lord to help me hold back my laughter, because I've had beautiful stories of how people have really gotten it wrong when it comes to tomato farming. So what is your story?
Yes, I'm one of those people. We also got it wrong. And we did it when I was in third year. That was in 2018. It was through the KCB Foundation program. they are still doing it now, and it's a very amazing program where they train the youth on agribusiness, and then they partner. You're told to partner as a group of between 5 to 10 people, during which now you're given a grant or a loan, like a soft loan of say 500,000 to $1 million, and given the land, even given the extension, someone to help with the extension, how to farm this. You're given the seedlings and pesticides. Now all you need to do is just ensure you get a good yield of the tomatoes. So for us, we did tomatoes after we went through the agribusiness management.
Where was
course.
this, by the way?
This was in Muthega.
Muthega, that's
no, we studied in Muthega.
County.
We studied in Muthega, but we farmed in Juja. In Juja, Darugo.
In Darugo.
Yes.
In Darugo, you have clay soil?
Yes, it's a mix of clay and
Rome.
Yeah.
Clay
so
and Rome
it's good. It's good enough to farm. But either way, we weren't using soil. Yeah, we weren't using soil. We were doing hydroponics farming.
Okay.
So you're using. They're called.
So that must have been a significant investment.
Yes, it was, because it was a greenhouse, and then they're called punnets. Those stones for that you use in hydroponics farming, and now the setup itself, it costs quite a lot. Yeah.
On average, I mean, like, what's your estimate? How much did you invest in it?
Around 800,000.
800,000.
But then again,
That is for 1 year.
It was through now the loan that we got, the 1 million, and 400 of it was used to set up the greenhouse itself and that hydroponic system. Yes, and now around 60,000 for the seedlings, and now the rest was more of the management. By the time we did it for 6 months, we had to buy the pesticides. We had to even at least pay ourselves some remuneration, the transport fee, because Darugo is quite far.
And then you sat back, you waited for the tomatoes to ripen.
And they did. They did, only that now we were so many greenhouses. 2 things caused our failure. The first one was the teamwork, because we were a team of 6, but then again we didn't know each other that well, to venture into farming together. And so you will find
the number
only
one
3
failure was teamwork. There was no teamwork.
Yeah, no teamwork. You'd find only 3 out of the 6 people were actually going to the farm.
50% of the work.
Yes, 50%. And we had a schedule where 1 person goes to the farm per day. I go, and then maybe since it's 6 people, one will go twice, and then you'll skip for like another 5 weeks, go twice again. But you'll find only 3 of us were going.
So teamwork failed you?
There was the first one. The second one was tuta absoluta.
Those are pests?
Pests, yes. Yeah,
but you talked about you buying pesticides.
Yeah, they weren't strong enough. The tuta absoluta was...
So you are using the wrong pesticides?
Not so much. Okay, you see, tuta absoluta is... You need to prevent it before it comes, because once you get it, it's so hard to, to eradicate it from your farm. It's something you prevent before. So it's because we were so many greenhouses, and it was very easy to spread. If you create it in greenhouse 16, and someone walks around those greenhouses, we still had an extension service who was and among other people, I want to go and see what's happening in greenhouse 2 and all that. So that's how it spread.
Yeah. So what happened?
After that, we had to fumigate, and then that's when we took a pause and let's first learn and figure it out before we go and spend another $500,000. Yeah.
So how much did you end up making from your harvest?
We made around 80,000.
80,000.
But it's only, we would have made a lot. It's only that now with the tutor there, the harvest was reducing by the week. We harvest 2 weeks, but we started off with 190 kgs on the first harvest. After that, we went to 120. After that, we went to 80. Then 40. And eventually
that's how your tomato business went up in flames.
Yes.
Do you still keep in touch with those guys?
One.
One?
Yes.
It's broke your friendship?
Yes.
It happens, and that's why, you know, the wisdom has always been never mix business with friendship, because one of the two is likely to disappear. Well, we'll be coming back, and of course now we'll be discussing the kilogram, and we basically wanted to understand how the idea was born and the knowledge application process. So now we brace yourself for more conversation around kilogram. We're in the company of Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilogram, and Augustine Moi, who is the CFO or Chief Financial Officer. They're joining us here to help us put into perspective the conversation around digital agriculture. Well, I've been talking about the Russia-Africa Summit, which is taking place in St. Petersburg in Russia. Remember, almost 40 heads of state from Africa are attending that critical meeting, which is expected to chart the way forward on how Russia is going to engage with the rest of Africa. Our reporter Betty Kiptum is attending that important meeting. Let's see whether we can afford to have her on the screen, if my producer can manage to get Betty Kiptum, who is attending that meeting in St. Petersburg. Yeah, I can see her. She's on the screen. Betty Kiptum, I know you are safe because St. Petersburg is far away from the Ukrainian-Russian border. So what kind of conversation and what is happening down there in St. Petersburg?
A very good morning to you, O'Brien, Kimani there at the broadcasting house in KBC. We are coming to you live from St. Petersburg in Russia. Now, this is where Africa is congregating for the Russia-Africa Summit. It is the second summit of its kind, and it has brought quite a number of delegates from across Africa. Our very own president, of course, he said yesterday that he will not be attending this particular summit, but there is an able team led by, there is the AU chairperson who shall be representing him, but from Kenya we shall be having the CS in charge of trade, that is Moses Kuria. There is a plenary session that he will be having tomorrow, but even today that he will be in this particular session. Now, this particular room that we are sitting in, it is the very first session of the summit, and in a few minutes there will be a plenary session which will include the Russian President Vladimir Putin. He and other African leaders will be talking about just ways that Africa and Russia can collaborate. Some of the ways, of course, Kenya is keen on include fertilizer production and distribution, as well as things to do with technology transfer. That is also a very key area that Kenya will be looking to just tap from the Russian economy. Tomorrow there will be a conversation about increasing trade, or rather exports, into the Russian Federation from Kenya, as well as just ensuring that we are trading more with Russia, as Kenya even seeks to make sure that it is getting new markets for its produce. So of course we are here. There is quite a lot of media personnel from Africa, just ensuring that Kenyans as well as Africans are well informed of the proceedings. Thereafter, after the meeting tomorrow, there will be just key highlights or key results from this particular meeting, and we expect to see trade between Russia and Africa increase after this meeting, and also collaboration in terms of peace and diplomacy efforts to improve, despite the language barrier, of course. So we are on the ground. KBC is right here to bring you the latest, but in a few minutes, as I said, there will be a plenary session led by Vladimir Putin, the hosting president in Russia, hosting a number of leaders from Africa. So of course we shall be giving you the latest, but just to tell you, KBC is on the ground in St. Petersburg, Russia. This is the second Russia-Africa Summit. My name is Betty Kiptum. Back to you, O'Brien.
Well, so and of course you do expect fantastic coverage from St. Petersburg in Russia, where the second Russia Summit is taking place. Remember, the first summit took place last year in the city of Sochi, and today's summit, which is going to take place today and tomorrow, we're expecting to see a lot of conversations around food security and as well as political stability in Africa. Moses Kuria, the CS for Trade and Investment is representing President William Ruto, who is at the coast. And remember, we are keeping tabs on what's happening at the coast. Our reporters are down there, and so we shall be linking up with them at any given moment when we have a sense that the president is ready to address the nation. We are back in the studio. Our conversation revolves around digital agriculture. If I can give you some statistics, about 30 to 35% of Kenyan agriculture is conducted through digital space. And so we are in the company of Lewis Njoroge. He's the CEO of Kilimogram, and he's joining us here. They have already shared with us the experience in business, and he's also accompanied by Chief Financial Officer. This is Augustine Moye. Now, let's discuss more about Kilimogram. You are telling us that, this concept of digital platform, started after you learned the hard way in business. And so what have you managed to do in the 3 years that you have been in service, Augustine?
So we've been able to directly work with around 300 farmers, served around 120 customers. Gross merchandise value of the sales should be around 1.7 M, but these are, let say for the last 1.5 years, we spent the first 1.5, as I mentioned, just doing research, both desktop and on the ground.
Yeah. Underground. And so how many farmers have you managed? So first of all, before I even got to how many farmers you have managed to link up, so what exactly do you do?
Let me start with the market side. We connect small-scale farmers to B2B markets, that's schools and hospitals. And
would you mind to simplify, and tell people what is B2B?
Oh, yeah.
This is not an executive forum.
Okay, yeah, B2B, that segment is for companies or other organizations that buy to sell or that buy to conduct business. That's B2B, it's business to business.
Very well. So you connect farmers with suppliers?
Yes.
With credit finance institutions? Do you do that?
Yeah.
As well?
Yes, we do that. Only for the support services section, we do it through partnerships.
Through partnerships.
If I can give you
with
an
financial institutions?
Yes. That's still in the making. We haven't fully ventured into it because we realized that the one thing that farmers want more than anything else is the market. So for the support services, we'll approach, say, a SACCO that provides loans to small-scale farmers, and now we formulate an agreement with them whereby we'll tell you, we'll give you the farmers. Now you have the farmers, you want to offer credit to them now. Why don't you work with us to get towards those farmers? During now we just make our campaign.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe just to beef that up, there are a lot of things we can offer the small-scale farmer. We decided let's focus on the core thing right now, which is market. So basically what we do, we will seek the demand, send our salespeople to collect orders for certain products, and then on the back end we are talking to farmers who are close by, just so that we minimize on the operational costs over there. Consolidate the products, ship. But before that, we have handled the pre-negotiations. We'll talk to the procurement officer there, how often do you need these products, in what volumes. We talk about credit period, if any, or the payment terms. Yeah, then negotiate the same with the farmer, have the order placed. Everything goes on through the site. Just to ensure efficiency. We kind of take charge of the logistics involved and handling of the cash. Yes.
And so I'm sure you go through through a process. You take farmers, through a process before you onboard them. Is that what you do?
Yes.
So what do you look for in a farmer?
We look for, first of all, the seriousness. I want to call it seriousness because we found farmers who, like you say, you just have mint, but you're not conducting farming seriously, whether in whichever extent. So that's the one thing we look for. We look for, the courage. we'd like to know your location.
What is the minimum acreage?
5 and
acres.
below. Yes.
Or 5 and below.
5 and below. We are not closed off to anyone who has more. As long as you're looking for market, it's okay. But for most times we work with small scale, and they usually have 5 acres and below. Yes, and we look for the seriousness. So we'll ask you, like, how long have you farmed?
How long should I have farmed?
At least say 2 seasons. 2 seasons
So that's
moving
about 1
forward.
year.
Yeah, that's about a year. Yeah, but then again, as I've told you, we are not closed off, because we also want to accommodate someone who wants to learn farming. Now, with such a person, we'll more of work with you on all the steps, not just offering you the market, because we've gone through the farming process, and if you're starting off, there is more to learn on the support services side than on the market. Yes.
Do I pay anything as a farmer to join the platform?
No, you don't pay anything. The listing is free, the onboarding is free. The marketing now, we'll just add our markup from your price, from the gate price that you give us. We'll make our money through we'll mark up and then deliver to the customer.
So I've gone through the screening process, and I am suitable, to join their platform. So what happens next, Moi?
Once you've listed you on the platform, set up your virtual shop, we take it upon ourselves to market your products. So through our social media, and as I mentioned, even we all have salespeople on the ground. So close to you, we will send salespeople to look for orders close to you, or even distant, doesn't matter, as long as we have an MOQ that makes sense for us to transport that. So as soon as your products are listed, marketed, if you do get an order, you are notified through email or an SMS, or someone will call you. Then we facilitate the demonstration of the product. Once the payment is processed, depending on the terms, get our cut, then send the rest to you. Normally within 48 hours, that's ideally, but then it's business. Can find the client is once a credit period of around 2 weeks, so it's just about, it's a balancing act over there.
So let's, for example, take the example of Njoroge. He decided to venture into tomato farming, and he's successful. He has gone through the screening process and he's qualified, and you sign a contract with him. His tomatoes are listed on your website?
Yes.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
So then you help in the marketing aspect of it.
Yes.
And so how is the pricing model?
The pricing, the farmer gives us their price. We don't dictate a price for
so
them.
it is up to me to tell you.
It's
that,
up to you to tell me.
I'm selling my tomatoes kilo at 100 shillings.
Yeah, but then again, we'll also, this is where now the information comes in. We'll tell you, this is the market price of tomatoes. And mind you, we won't just work with that one farmer. We'll ask you, this is the price, and this is the price that the customer is willing to take with. No. Now, let's negotiate from that point. See, so our goal is not to oppress the farmer by dictating the price to them. It's more of like, let's be reasonable. Give me a good price, and I'll give you sustainability with that particular customer.
Just to add on to that, I mean, the idea is just let the forces of demand and supply kind of
play their part.
Play their part. Willing buyer, willing seller. If you feel the products are worth this price and you list them, you get a customer, well and good. We're not really looking to control the price, just to offer someone a virtual shop.
So within the supply chain pipeline, on one end you have the farmer, and then on the other end you have the buyer. So you are the intermediary, right? So as a farmer, how do I know that the prices that you are offering me is the best?
Through the information that we'll give you like the market price of all the, at least most of the markets in Nairobi. And I know that there are for example, tomatoes, that price changes a lot. And you'll find that today it's 100 per kg, On Friday it should be around 50. And so our goal is to give you a minimum guarantee price, whereby we may not be able to change it all the time, but if you give us the tomatoes at 60 shillings per kg, regardless of whether the price goes up or down, you'll work with this customer for the next 3 months.
So for you, you get your 60 shillings, regardless of whether the market swings up or down?
Yes, the goal is to at least give them a minimum guarantee price, because then again, you're working with schools and they're not so open to, we renegotiate the terms after every 1 week. It's too much for them. So,
what is your markup percentage, Mr. CFO?
Okay, right now ranging around 10 to 15, depending on
10 to
the
15%.
specific, depending on the specific dynamics of the relationship you're building. What farmer, what customer.
So let's put
the relationship's always it's not cast in stone. It may differ. Sometimes you may have a customer who wants, let's review the prices every weekly because I'm also running a business. I may differ. Cast in stone, 10 to 15 is our average.
So let's, for example, take say that Joroge is farming his potatoes, or his tomatoes in Juja, and you have a client in Nanyuki. And of course, the market dynamics will change because Nanyuki is like almost 400 kilometers from Nairobi, and so the tomato prices in Nanyuki will differ from tomato prices in Nairobi. So how do you deal with price differential?
Okay, actually, first of all, the idea is to order from someone near you. So when you come to make an order, you have a geolocated in a way that you will see people near you, just to you'll be exposed to a bit familiar prices. The logistics cost will be down. But if you do have a specific farmer who's a bit far away, you want to work with, we will facilitate that, handle the price negotiations, depending on where both parties feel comfortable. With the logistics price factored in.
And so, for example, you're talking about you have entered into a partnership with learning institutions. This will be schools. So you go and negotiate on behalf of the farmer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the farmer has given you that this is the minimum price. I'm willing to sell my tomatoes. So it is up to you now to go and approach the school, pitch your price, and of course factoring in your markup, right?
Yes.
So the school pays to who? Does it pay to you? To you now,
yes.
And then you pay to the supplier.
Yeah, the school pays to us, and then after that we pay the farmer after the delivery, within the period of 24 hours. But now that is there's also an issue of trust there, because for the first 2 or 3 orders, we have to finance it from ourselves, from our pockets, because there's some distrust, in the agricultural community in terms of, most farmers will not. I can't just come. If I have the tomatoes and you want to buy, you'll have to pay at the gate. You get, because we've realized that a lot of farmers have been burnt a lot, with some credit negotiation, and someone just refuses to pay. So it's more of building the trust first. I'll finance the first few orders, and then after the third order, now I'll come to you and say, okay, you've seen that we will pay you on time, and we are serious about supplying to this school. Now, would you give us a 3-day or 3-day to a week credit?
So that's how it works.
Yes.
And so once the products have been bought, and as a farmer, I'll know that my products have been bought because I'm either the one who is going to deliver, or I'm going to deliver to you.
We're actually going to come for them.
Or you pick the tomatoes.
Yeah, but it depends on the negotiation. There are some farmers who are willing to bring somewhere close to us. So we just we had a small pack house, in Luakabete, but then again, mostly we work with drop shipping. So you just tell us, we just need you to prepare, and we'll send our team there to ensure the packaging is done right, and also the quality dynamics. If the customer wants large potatoes, we need our team to ensure that you're packing large potatoes. After you do that, now we just drop ship the order straight to the customer. Yeah.
And I mean, listening to your model, it's not significantly different from Twiga Foods, where you're working before.
Yes.
And so, I mean, Twiga Foods, it has such a huge, elaborate, supply chain network, and you're competing with a bigger player in this market. So why would anyone prefer to work with you over other established players?
We are really geared towards having impact on the smallholder farmer. So the idea is to, one, we have a wider range of products. We don't really specify in bananas alone. As long as we have a smallholder farmer who's willing to switch from subsistence to commercial, we want to work with them throughout the journey. So if they want their soil tested, if you want know where to get seeds, what fertilizers to use, all the end, we're kind of geared towards working with a farmer throughout the entire journey. Smallholder farmers it's a really underserved market. I think 75 or 70% of agriculture is smallholder. But they're not getting the support they need. I think I was looking at some stats saying farmer in Kenya needs like 4x more land to produce the same maize that to being done in Europe. So it's a matter of have a lot of people doing it, but maybe not doing it right. So the goal was to work with a smallholder farmer throughout to improve efficiency, productivity, and for the smallholder farmer just to boost their income.
So as a CEO of Kilomogram, when you're making your pitch to the farmer, I mean, what is your selling point?
The first one is we have the demand, which we actually do have the demand.
You have demand?
Yeah, we work with a demand-driven model whereby, when we started, there was this chicken-egg issue. If I go to a farmer, I'll have to assure them demand. If I go to the customer, I'll have to assure them of the supply. So our model, now we're a bit better at it because we do have the farmers, but we work with a demand-driven model whereby I go first to the customer. Establish your needs, establish your procurement needs, what products do you want, which ones do you struggle with getting, and how can we help you. Now with that information, if I know you take 100 kgs of tomatoes per week, or say like 400 trays of eggs per 2 weeks, now with that information, I'll go and search for the farmer. So it's a bit easier to get the farmer if you already have the demand. Now that's when the negotiation starts on, which day we need to do the deliveries, how we'll handle the price negotiations, payment terms negotiations, and all that.
Do you only sell to institutions, or do you also deliver to homes?
We did do homes, but it's really, really hectic.
Why is it hectic?
Because they're not the right match for the farmer. You see, the farmer, most farmers want, when they're selling, and the reason why they find brokers so attractive is because they want to sell in bulk, and they're farming a little, say like 2 or 3 products in their 1 acre. But now the customer, the household, wants a little bit of everything. You see? So like when we do get orders from households, they'll source from many farmers. So you'll find an order, there's the customer, the household wants tomatoes from a farmer in Limuru, and then spinach from a farmer in Thika. The logistics is going to be insane. So we just steered away from B2C.
And of course the markups, one would want to imagine the margins are much better if you're working with big institutions.
Yeah, even
because they order in bulk.
Yeah, even the relationship, because now with institutions, you build trust with them, and you'll get to work with them for like 6 months, and it's constant. It's the best way to build sustainability for the farmer.
Yeah. Which product, they offer the best markups?
For us internally, at the moment it's eggs.
Eggs?
Yeah. We have a couple of customers who buy a lot of trays, Say something
a lot
to do
would be
with
how many?
1,200 trays per month.
Wow, 12,000 trays per month.
No, 1,200, not 12,000.
Oh, 1,200.
Yeah, which with that information now, it's very easy to negotiate with a farmer, since we'll tell them we'll be taking 300 trays per week from you. Now, instead of selling for 80 shillings per tray, why don't you give us for 10? Because we'll basically be taking all your eggs. Because consistently. Yeah, it's more of the, like we usually encourage the farmer to not view the short-term profitability, for longer-term sustainability. Like we'll ensure you of income for like the next 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
I think that's where the relationship comes in handy, because the particular farmers we're talking about haven't. We are aware there have been a lot of price changes, but they have been, since they are assured of certainty whether the products will move, they really haven't been changing that a lot. Yeah.
Because I can say we're almost coming to the tail end of this conversation. What is your message to the young people? Because you're within the age bracket of young people. What is your message to the young people who are watching this program and they're wondering how can they get into this space? Let's start with Moi.
Well, one, I'd like my my counterparts to not view agriculture as a retirement plan. Yeah, there are good returns, if done right. And as I see the future of agriculture in Kenya, it's going to be a bit more commercial, more efficient, eco-friendly. So there is a lot of future in agriculture in the country, given with the policies supporting it. It's going to be profitable. So again, there are also a lot of companies like us who are really driving change, pushing for impact. So it's time that all of us joined in, because it is the future, and there are people like us who will help you navigate the ecosystem.
Very good.
Yeah.
Joroge. Yes, my advice to young people who want to venture into farming or business is, first of all, you won't go wrong when it comes to agriculture. You may go wrong once or twice, but as long as you arm yourself with the right information and team up with the right people and be consistent and don't give up, you will crack that industry. Because agriculture, farming is the way to go at the moment. It's just that a lot of young people steer away from it because it seems really laborious and also it doesn't look good, But I can tell you, we have for the farmers we've worked with, they make a lot, of income, because now they're the ones who've done it for a really long time, and you just need to be patient, embrace the slowness, and you'll get there.
It is often said that agriculture will never be out of fashion, because as long as human beings are alive, they'll still eat.
That's true.
They'll still drink.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for finding time to be with us here, and we wish you all the best in your venture. And it's quite encouraging that you're part of the young people who are really revolutionizing the agriculture sector in this country. Because when you look at statistics, the average age of a Kenyan farmer is about 65 years, and so that is not a beautiful picture, to look at. And so we are encouraging more young people, to join the bandwagon and venture into agriculture. Thank you very much. Continue preaching the message.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
You see, let me tell you this, and this is a picker from the two gentlemen. Business is beautiful, very beautiful, but business is hard enough. It requires a significant amount of time, resilience, and hard work. And along the process, you must build a network of trust, because business that is not built on trust, it is not going to succeed. It is not going to thrive. And again, it has to be built on honesty. Honesty is critical in business. And number 2, you must be in the right space and in the company of the right people. Because if you get it wrong, then you hate business. That is my wisdom for you this morning. Thank you very much. You have been watching this check. We started this. It's about 10. Now it's 3 minutes past 12. Remember, Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up next. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
No member of this family should be working for this company now.
And who else to trust if not family?
Are you one of Joel's sons?
I need you to keep a close eye on Nick. I don't trust him fully.
It's nothing close to the truth.
Nick, baby, you've never been